Have you ever heard the whispers from beneath the earth? Broken fragments of pottery, golden statues, their surface softly dimmed by time. The quiet traces of ancient temples, resting in silence. They do not speak. They whisper stories of a life once refined, prosperous, and deeply calm in this land, a land where today's peaceful rice fields were once the surface of an ancient sea. Beneath layers of warm, resting alluvium, there are not only seashells, but an entire capital city sleeping. People remember it by a name as gentle as a dream, Funan. And tonight, the quiet flow of time carries us back, not to examine history, not to search for certainty, but simply to listen to the story of life, quiet splendor, and the long, unbroken rest of a kingdom that has slowly drifted into sleep. Once, long ago, in a place where water and sky had not yet learned to separate, a vast delta still carried the quiet breath of wilderness. The ruler of this land was a Queen Soma, known in Vietnamese records as Liu Diep, a sovereign of rivers, forests, and slow-moving tides. The people here lived in gentle harmony with nature. Their bodies were free, like grass and trees. Their long hair moved with the wind. The markings upon their skin were a silent language shared between earth and sky. They had not yet known woven cloth, nor felt any need for it. Far to the south, there lived a king Caundinya, called Hon Dien in Vietnamese tradition. He was a man who held deep reverence for the unseen. One night within a dream, a faint and sacred calling reached him, like a message carried upon the sea. He followed that quiet guidance. He built a boat. He entrusted himself to the slow pull of ocean currents and drifted northward. After many days upon the water, he arrived at a land unlike any he had known. As the unfamiliar boat approached, Queen Soma came forward to meet it. What might have been a challenge became something softer, something unspoken. Perhaps the unseen had already arranged this meeting. Queen Soma lowered her sword, and King Caundinya reached out his hand. The union of the king who came from the sea and the queen who ruled the river-woven land gently closed one age and allowed another to begin. From that time onward, they lived side by side in quiet accord. New customs slowly found their way into the rhythm of daily life. The openness of the body gave way to softly draped fabrics. Their bond deepened, and in time, it brought forth 7 children, 7 lives, remembered as 7 stars descending to the earth. they divided the land into 7 regions, each like a river's embrace, circling and sheltering the kingdom. And so, the capital of Funan came to rest at the foot of Mount Bethay, in a place known as Logo, a quiet citadel amid endless waters, where temple bells once echoed with the dawn, and the dream of Funan slowly spread, like the faint scent of agar wood lingering in the morning air. And so, from that union quietly woven by unseen hands, a kingdom began to take shape, not only through rising temple towers, but through the slow, steady breath of its people. Beneath the presence of Mount Ba Thi, beside canals spreading outward like gentle lines upon water, the people of Ok Ao welcomed each morning, not by the sound of drums, but by the soft rhythm of oars touching the surface of the river. They lived in houses lifted on high stilts. Wind moved freely through the wooden walls. Children played along narrow planks, and the elderly laid out sugar cane beneath the sun. Sugar cane remembered for its quiet sweetness, once valued even by distant traders from across the sea. In the early hours, lotus water was sipped from ceramic bowls, thin and light, like petals held in the hands. By midday, white rice rested beside gently grilled snakehead fish, caught from the pond just beyond the house. As afternoon light softened, women wore gold earrings etched with the image of Vishnu, not as a display of wealth, but as a way of keeping their prayers close to the warmth of their skin. And so, this was no longer only the story of kings and queens. It became the quiet life of ordinary people, lived slowly, simply, as though each day itself were a gentle poem drifting upon the water. When the floods arrived, the people did not raise walls to hold the water back. Instead, they opened pathways for it to pass. They dug canals, slowly, patiently, shaping long, straight water roads with the steady work of many hands. Each movement of the earth opened a quiet passage, a living thread connecting fields, villages, and seasons. Through these waterways, fresh water found its way to waiting rice fields. And when the rains returned, the swollen waters were gently guided back toward the sea. Upon these calm channels, life drifted. Boats carried people. They carried homes for a while, carried stories, carried simple goods from one village to the next, never in haste, only moving with the rhythm of water and time. In a land shaped by low ground and seasonal floods, the people of Funan chose not resistance, but quiet adaptation. Houses rose upon tall stilts. living spaces were lifted gently above the earth, allowing water to pass beneath the floorboards as it always had. In the morning, a few steps led down to the water's edge, where one could bathe, wash, and begin the day beside the slow-moving surface of the canal. These homes remained cool. They remained steady, not as a statement of design, but as a calm understanding between people and the land they lived upon. The flavor of Funan was the flavor of quiet gratitude and practiced skill. Rice grew in sweet freshwater paddies. Fish were drawn from the woven network of canals. Meals were simple. The gifts of earth and water were enough. Clay pots rested upon clay stoves, lifted on slender legs so they could stand firm above damp floors. Each utensil, shaped not for display, but for life, lived close to water. And when the harvest was complete, there was also time to savor. A light wine, gently fermented from honey or fruit, shared not for excess, but for warmth and for the quiet fragrance of a season brought to its end. The people of Funan carried a love of beauty that was both practical and refined. Fabrics were woven, colored with dyes drawn from roots and leaves. Women wrapped long skirts. Men wore simple, well-tied garments. And among them, jewelry held a special place, not as a sign of wealth, but as something closer to the heart. Beads of deep blue glass, amethyst shaped by fire and patience, leaves of gold hammered thin as paper, carefully carved with images of deities, lotus flowers, and quiet animals of land and water, worn at the neck, at the wrist, like small moving prayers. Some were made of gold, others of stone or glass. But everyone carried with them a gentle light and a quiet faith, moving softly through the flow of everyday life. Their spiritual life did not rest only within tall temple towers. It moved quietly through the small moments of each day. A belief without a fixed name, woven into thoughts of safety, of health, and of gentle abundance. By the edge of a stream, a stone with an unusual shape might be lifted from the water, not as something precious, but as something familiar. It could rest within a home, becoming a quiet presence, touched briefly before a fishing trip or before stepping into the fields at dawn. Around the neck, an amulet of thin gold leaf or softened bronze would hang close to the chest, not merely as ornament, but as a silent guardian, kept nearby against unseen harm, against illness on long journeys, and against the deep quiet that settled over the waterways at night. At mealtime, a small fish might be set aside, resting upon a simple leaf, a modest offering, a wordless gesture of thanks to the earth and the water that had given nourishment. For they believed that everything carried a living presence. The rice plant, the fish beneath the surface, the slow-moving current itself. Even dreams were listened to. An unusual dream, spoken softly the next morning, might linger in thought, gently shaping decisions, whether to begin a long trading journey or to wait and allow time to pass. These beliefs were simple. They rose naturally from life lived close to river and sky, like an unseen layer resting lightly upon the spirit, offering quiet reassurance amid the uncertainties of life along the water. It was not the faith of temples or states. It was the faith of the household, of the individual, of families moving gently through the flowing days of Funan. The spirit of Funan also opened itself to quieter, distant, sacred winds, carried across seas, arriving gently, without force, without resistance. Nothing was pushed aside. Nothing was broken. There were no walls dividing one belief from another. Within the same quiet space, one might notice the figure of a Hindu deity, a calm and knowing smile upon its face. Standing beside the image of a Buddha, eyes softened with compassion. Both were shaped by the hands of this land, not distant or severe, but familiar, like gentle companions on a shared spiritual path. Temple towers rose slowly, not to command the horizon, but to offer a place where the spirit might pause and rest. From them, thin strands of incense smoke lifted upward, mingling with the pale mist of early morning. The sound of chanting, the quiet toll of temple bells, never loud, never insistent, only a soft presence, like a distant melody woven into the rhythm of daily life. People came not in search of complex teachings. They came to find a moment of calm, to place a hope gently somewhere beyond themselves, or simply to sit, breathing within the stillness of the sacred air. Older beliefs, born from the land itself, never disappeared. The water that sustained life, the earth that received every step. These quiet presences remained, flowing naturally alongside newer rituals and forms. A prayer offered before a carved image might also be a wish for kind winds and timely rain. A single stick of incense, lit beneath a temple roof, could carry the hope of a generous harvest. All of it moved together, forming one continuous stream of belief and meaning. Gentle, patient, open. Perhaps this quiet harmony was the most enduring beauty of all. A spiritual atmosphere that felt warm and light, where different paths could exist side by side, meeting without argument, blending without loss, like small streams slowly joining, becoming a wide and peaceful river. No raised voices, no lines drawn upon the ground, only stillness and a quiet trust that the sacred moved gently through everyday life, a faith of the heart shaped by harmony rather than division. The river, heavy with silt, also carried quiet dreams, and the small boats filled with rice and fish would one day drift beyond the river's mouth and out toward the open sea. Slowly, the stillness of temple towers gave way to another presence on the horizon, the distant sound of waves and the faint calls of sails moving far away. Beyond the riverlands, a wider world waited, and the people of Funan, born of water and current, listened quietly to that distant calling. They prepared for journeys not driven by haste, but by connection, by the wish to meet, to exchange, and to return. In Funan, there were farmers tending rice fields and fishermen moving along the waterways. And there were also those who understood the language of the sea, traders, artisans of movement and exchange. And the port of Okyo became their calm gathering place, a bay protected from strong winds, deep canals leading inward, and an openness shaped by long familiarity with water. From far to the west, small discs of Roman gold arrived quietly, carried by many hands. From the north, bronze mirrors of earlier dynasties found their way along the same waters. From India, carefully carved figures, precious stones of unfamiliar color, arrived without haste. The people of Funan received these things as rivers receive rain, without excitement, without clamor, with calm curiosity and practiced care. Trade was not only exchange, it was conversation, spoken through materials, patterns, and quiet skill. And from their own land, they offered gifts shaped by the south, fragrant peppercorns, sweet cinnamon bark, pieces of agar wood, holding the scent of forest and rain. These were given not as display, but as a sharing of what the land itself provided. Their ships were strong, broad enough to carry many lives across long stretches of water. Yet they were not vessels of conquest. They moved more like seabirds, gliding with the wind, carrying encounters, and returning with stories. They sailed south toward islands scented with spice, and came back again, guided by seasonal winds that the sailors knew well. This slow passage of sails became known in time as a gentle route of spices, a rhythm of departure and return, following the breathing of the sea. Even within the quiet busyness of a trading kingdom, the people of Funan kept their own pace. They were not hurried by desire. They moved as water moves, knowing when to receive, when to flow onward, and when to hold close what mattered most. For them, exchange was never only about gold or silver. It was also about shared knowledge, widened horizons, and the soft connections formed between people, between river and sea, drifting quietly through the long, unbroken current of time. And then, a quiet change arrived, slowly, as naturally as the rhythm of the tide itself. The winds began to turn. The sails that once filled the horizon grew fewer, drifting farther apart. The layered sounds of a meeting world softened, fading step by step, making space for something deeper and more still. The great sea, once a familiar companion, began its gentle retreat, moving quietly toward the far line of the horizon. Nothing broke, nothing collapsed. The change unfolded across the patience of centuries. Seawater slowly drew back. The canals leading toward Angkor, the quiet heart of the kingdom, grew shallower, resting lower with time. Large ships no longer found the same easy passage. The steady pulse of exchange softened, beat by beat, until it began to settle into rest. Within the land, the rhythm of life also slowed. The familiar sounds from goldsmiths' hands grew faint. The warm glow of pottery kilns dimmed, their smoke thinning one by one, like small candles quietly surrendering to night. Along the canals, the paths of water emptied of cargo boats. The movement that once filled the air dissolved gently, leaving behind a wide openness and a calm, unspoken quiet. Like many ancient presences, after a long and luminous journey, the kingdom found its posture for rest. The land remained. The people remained. Yet the spirit of an era grew drowsy and slowly closed its eyes. Then, nature began its final embrace. Brick and stone, wood and carved form were gently covered by new layers of earth, by soft grasses and patient roots. Temple bricks descended without sound. Dug canals filled quietly with silt, returning to low, silent stretches of land. The kingdom did not vanish. It simply settled, sinking softly and falling into sleep beneath a deep blanket of soil and time. Like a seed, resting, waiting. This was not an ending of loss. It was the gentle closing of a cycle, As with all things in nature, waters rise and then return. The sun appears and then rests. A civilization blooms and then finds its way back into stillness. Funan dreamed a long and radiant dream. And when that dream had reached its fullness, it came to rest, quietly, peacefully, leaving behind only the soft echo of a story and the calm assurance that all things move gently within the great flow of time.